Angry, 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 Aussie. 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 Angry, 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 Aussie. 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 Angry, 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 angry.
Hey, how's it going? Just doing things at the very last second, namely texting Aidsy the link because he wants to join us. So he should be here soon. So Lorianda, hello. Micro USB, Annette, Raiders, Megaleech, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Yes. Sorry, I just was last minute things. Like literally, I was sitting down, and Mrs. Angry asked me to make her a cocktail before I started, and I had just enough time to do that and just be a teeny bit late. Made a Woodson and Ford, our current favourite, is in the service. North will rise again. Safa, Fox of Fate. Hello. Yes, thank you for the wizard thing, Fox. I'm neither late nor early. I arrive exactly when I mean to. Except I was admittedly a couple minutes late. So Mrs. Angry is having a Woodson and Ford. I am having my batch old fashioned that I made. And it's fucking great. It's really good. Yeah, everyone's coming in early tonight, which is nice to see. I actually shot a bit of video before the stream because I'm trying to get stuff ready, and I thought, I'm kind of ready. It was like 7 and I wasn't doing anything. I could set all the camera stuff up and put my cocktail making clothes on and actually shoot the video before the stream rather than do it. So I do it. Might even do that tomorrow as well. Then again, might not. Got to make, because it's whiskey sour day next week. And I think I might make 2 whiskey sours, 2 really different riffs on a whiskey sour. And then maybe a version of that Southern tea cocktail I discovered. Lorianda, going to bed soon? Oh, you're in a work week? Yes, you will need some sleep, friend. And Micro, you're going to make a nice cocktail, coffee and flavored creamer. That seems like an appropriate thing. Speaking of coffee and cream,
Hi there. I'm the cream.
Yes. Just a bit dusty.
I've decided to be racist because it's the only way I'm going to live in America.
That's fair.
And as they come stormtrooping through our cities, I at once adore and pledge my fealty to our new masters.
That's fair.
And I will wear their alt-right slogans on my skin.
That's fair. That's fair.
I will burn any records that show that I have an unfortunate family history, and
one that will attract the ire of the white coppers.
Yes, and put me into the camps. Well, why are they putting fences around stadiums?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh
my God. And for those who've missed it, that was an actual real thing because their thing since the George W. Bush days has been FEMA in America, FEMA. They're going to have camps where they put us all. And why is there barbed wire at the top of this fence at this stadium? So fuckwits like you don't climb over the fence instead of buying a ticket. Why do you think it is? Jesus.
It was the great thing, you know. It's like these people go around like photographing chain link fences around a stadium. It's like they're fencing in stadiums so that they can do their government control. And it's like, or getting security for game day because they pay these athletes $120 million a year, and they want your ticket money. What makes me laugh most of all, is the New World Order, right?
Yeah.
That makes me laugh most of all because I keep on saying to people and I have recently been saying online, and I know I promised you and myself and everyone that I wouldn't do it. I would never, ever answer a comment online. But one time, this guy's going on and on and on about the New World Order and how it's fucking this and that and fucking... and the thing that triggered me, so I'm using new person's language.
Yeah.
Thing that triggered me was he says, "Oh, Antifa and Black Lives Matter joined up, so we've got to get ready and arm up." And I'm just going,
Yeah.
Charister.
Yes.
And I've gone, look, mate, I appreciate that you're passionate, which is the first thing I said was, look, mate, I appreciate you're passionate, but you've missed it. You've missed the New World Order. You're part of it, and I congratulate you. And he's going, I ain't part of the New World Order. And I said, no, you are. You are living in the best example of the New World Order, because the New World Order was invented in the 1600s to be invented in the 1600s to be launched in the 1700s, and it was about no kings and no priests telling the simple man what to do. And when the American Declaration of Independence was was signed, that was the launch of the New World Order, where no kings and no priests could tell a nation what to do, that the nation themselves would govern themselves.
Yes.
That's the New World Order.
Yeah. Who was it who actually said the line, "We will be free when the last king is strangled with the entrails of the last priest"?
John Carroll.
What, our lecturer?
No, I don't. John Carroll. Peter Carroll. He also said, no, it was that was fucking a philosopher. It wasn't Voltaire. It might have been Voltaire.
Sounded like the sort of thing Luther would have said. Anyway, just quickly, I want to address a couple of things in chat, namely, hello, Abigail.
Hey, Abigail.
And there were questions about, because I'm going to make a whiskey sour. Fox, I might do the thing of use the Lux Brew stuff. Loriander said a New York sour. I actually did a milk clarified New York sour on my channel last year, but there are variations. And hello, Toby. And also my favorite thing is also in recent history, George Bush Sr. said New World Order in a speech when he was president. And that's one of the things they latched onto in the 90s. I think he was talking about it was post-Soviet Union, and now it was brown people we didn't like. And when he was talking about going to war against Saddam, he was saying how everyone will, be unified and create a new world order, and that it ended up that put it back into people's consciousnesses. So they're a bit weird.
I feel for America because they have to have an enemy. Because if they don't have an enemy, they eat themselves.
It's like 1984.
It's just 1984. It's just incredible. And when the wall broke down, myself and the kids at uni, you were just out of uni at that point.
Yeah.
When the wall broke down, we were all going, oh my God. Because remember also, soon with that, Nelson Mandela got out of jail. So for 6 months or so, it was like the world might make it. The world might make it.
Yeah.
And then America started to eat itself in a fairly fucking robust fashion. And then, thankfully, there were skirmishes that America had to put down. and then there was the Yugoslavian crisis, which America had to put down, and then there was holy of holies, the first Gulf War, and so America had an enemy again, and they milked that for all it was worth. I was watching a thing about the Taliban taking over Afghanistan again, and they said the American war in Afghanistan took 20 years. It was their longest war ever.
Yes, it was.
20 fucking years.
And achieved absolutely fucking nothing but hundreds of thousands of deaths and giving $1 trillion to arms companies.
Don't forget the drug runners.
Oh, yeah, because they started up the opium trade again, yes. And hello, David Blumenstein. How you doing?
Hey, David Blumenstein. They fucking... I heard one really interesting interview. I know I read it, actually. He said, this is the only war where we're funding both sides. And his thing was, we're funding the drugs and we're funding the troops. It's like we're buying the arms for the other side and we're buying the arms for our own side. And there was a great Gibson novel where they the bad guys were tracking a pallet full of cash.
Oh, yes.
Right? It was a pallet, like a check pallet full of cash. And the good guys were saying, look, this is just one opportunity to get rid of some bad apples. These pallets of cash go out there every fucking day. And they're to bribe local warlords to behave themselves. And I thought, oh, that's interesting fiction. And then I read up a bit more. No. It's not fiction. It wasn't fiction. It's never fiction.
I think literally $10 billion in cash disappeared. No one accounted for $10 billion in cash that was shipped into Afghanistan. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Gone.
And again, people like Dick Cheney and his cronies stole 90% of it. And some of it did go to local warlords and drug dealers to bribe them. But you only need like $50 to bribe them. And the rest was Cheney and his pals stole it. So
Halliwell, baby. Halliwell. Everything had a fucking Halliwell sticker on it.
Halliburton.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Halliburton.
Yeah. So it was funny. No one predicted how quickly the Taliban would sweep back through. But it was kind of, it's like the locals just went, oh, no, a week. Everyone assumed it would all go to hell. No one assumed the Taliban would take Kabul in a week from when the US left. Nobody thought that would happen.
I don't know, man.
No, nobody. Okay, I'm not willing to accept anyone. It was obviously all going to go to hell, but the Biden wouldn't have done the pullout just from a PR point of view.
From a PR point of view, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you're saying that the people who are responsible for things did no way see that happening.
In a week.
The people who are not dickheads like AIDSy, which is fair enough, right? People who actually own shit and make shit happen, logistics people, had no clue that this was going to happen that fast.
You would definitely see it within a year.
Totally fair. You are absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. But in my own little dark heart of hearts, I could keep on seeing the green, the Green Army. You know how they had the blue, the red, and the green. The Green Army. They didn't give a fuck. They were happy to be there as long as there was money, guns, and presents. And they had not a desertion rate, but an absentee rate of 25% throughout the entire training period. The guys just wouldn't show.
Yeah.
They ditch for the day.
What I assume happened when the US left and the Taliban went, right, lads, here we go. The people who were the opposition to them went, oh, fuck, they're serious. Okay, well, do I want to die? No, not really. I could start shooting and I might hold them back for a day and then they'd kill me, or I could just fuck off and let them. And that seems to be what happened. Everyone just said, well, if they're that determined, they're going to win and I'm not fucking dying for nothing. So fuck this for a joke. I'm out. And everyone
also had to be, there had to be phone calls. There had to be phone calls to the local provinces ahead of time, saying we are coming through. You can choose to fight. You can choose to join. You can choose to roll over.
I think you're overestimating their infrastructure. I think it was literally just they came storming through, and people went because there was initial resistance, and people just they went, oh no, they're fucking serious. Well, I'm not dying. Fuck this.
Fuck this.
And there was more resistance at the start, and there was only a small, and it got overwhelmed. And then in the subsequent cities, the people just went, "Oh, they're still coming. All right, fuck it, we're out.
I'm gone.
I'm not dying for this shit."
All of the reports that came back from the Australian troops were that the local guys they were training had no stomach for fighting whatsoever. Because toward the end of their training period, they pushed them up the front, and they were constantly finding them behind them. Like they just fuck off behind and go, I'm not sure. You can fucking maybe get shot, not me. And I get it. Because I mean, where are they going to go when this is all done? Where are they going to go?
This is the bit that
other thing was the same thing that happened in Vietnam. It was this, you
need to stop at the end of sentences so I can say something. Okay.
Sure. Sorry.
Otherwise, you just monologue and you don't even breathe.
Sure. Sorry.
As all I was going to say is, funny's probably the wrong word, but to me, like the Taliban came and sat down in Kabul and went, "We're in charge." Oh shit! What now? Oh fuck! And it's like, wait, can we get money? The international banks are probably freezing all the assets. Oh shit! And they're going to have to negotiate. Now they're going to have to. So there's no shooting. Now they have to be politicians, which is deranged. And I do want to also note micro USB's point. He's saying it was ridiculous. All the people saying get out of Afghanistan, and now because it looked a bit tits up, they're going, that was a bad mistake. The funniest ones being the Trump camp, who only a month ago were saying they had forced Biden into the withdrawal. He didn't want to do it. It was the right thing to do, and he didn't. Trump is at a rally a month ago saying, I'm the one who made Biden pull out. He didn't want to, but I made it impossible for him not to. And then it went tits up straight away. And they're all going, geez, Biden made a bad decision.
It's just full on. I guess the point I was going to make was with the Taliban was it was the same as Vietnam. The Russians showed us the same trick. They had nowhere to go. They were already home.
Yeah.
There was no, the fighting's over.
Yeah.
We are pulling out.
Yeah.
They couldn't pull out to anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was nowhere for them to go, so they had to keep going.
Yeah.
So, fucking the United States has recently had this fucking thought that we will capture the hearts and minds of our conquered. And you don't do that, right? You
grab them by the Watson, and the hearts and minds will soon follow.
You know, you basically go fucking. You do as I tell you. The last time this worked was in Japan when they said, you're going to do what we tell you and you're going to live like we tell you, or we're going to fucking nuke you again. Right? They had no fucking compunction as to basically going, your culture's changing and we're changing it. Right? And that was the last time they actually won something. And then they went into Vietnam and said, oh, we're going to capture hearts and minds. No, you're not. And then they went into Afghanistan, which no people except for the Mongols have successfully invaded ever. And fucking give it all hearts and minds. You are a very different culture to their culture, buddy.
I was saying one of the fun ironies was I was mentioning this on stream the other night, the recent TV reboot of Sherlock. Dr. Watson in that was a military doctor who'd been pensioned out of the army as he was injured in Afghanistan. Hilariously, in the original stories, Dr. Watson was a military doctor who'd been pensioned out of the army because he was injured in Afghanistan in a British, and it was just being able to do that 100 years later. It's just like, what's even the Sicilian in my favorite movie, The Princess Bride, when he's shouting at the dread pirate Roberts, you made the second biggest blunder in strategy ever. The first is never get involved in a land war in Asia. The second is never go up against a Sicilian when death's on line. It's just again, you're just watching this kids movie and someone out of left field goes, the biggest blunder you can make is to get involved in a land war in Asia. And what?
Yep.
Whether it's Central Asia or Southeast Asia.
You know, and of course, back in those days, there was no inkling of an American war in Afghanistan, but the same adage held true.
Time is a flat circle. Was it? Sorry, I want to say, I don't know if I properly said hello to Kirsten. She's just mentioning opened a bottle of the really old Starwood, the very first label. Neat. The old fashioned I was drinking, my batch old fashioned I've made a bottle of, has 2 Starwoods in it. It has the Mesquite Smoked and Nova. Also has Wild Turkey 101 and the Gospel limited edition rye that's like 58% alcohol. It's a very proofy old fashioned. Actually, very proofy. Very proofy. I like the idea of proofy. Yeah, well, put a little pinch of gunpowder on a spoon and exactly.
A little bit of
the rye's about 117 proof. The Mesquite's about 110 proof. The Wild Turkey's 101, and the Nova's is the only tame one, a mere 80 proof, your standard 40% whiskey.
So can I ask, right? Yeah. And Kirsten might be able to help me out here, and you might be able to translate for me. I understood that proof meant that you got a measured amount of gunpowder in a spoon. Then you poured a measured amount of the alcohol into the spoon, and then you lit it. Yeah. And the amount of gunpowder that burned would show you the tempering amount of water or alcohol strength that was in the abuse. Now,
I think the history is a bit clouded on that. The version I heard is they would put basically 50% alcohol. If the booze being shipped was more than 50% alcohol, it was taxed at a higher rate. And it's kind of like they worked out if they put a grain of gunpowder in the alcohol, soaked it, and took it out and put a match to it, if it lit, that was proof. That was 100 proof. And I bet Kirsten knows the real alcohol content. These days, it's just become an accepted term. 100 proof is 50% alcohol. But I think people have worked out the alcohol content of the stuff that was called 100 proof was actually higher than that.
So I was just going to lead on. My understanding was that if all of the gunpowder burned, that was 100 proof.
Yeah.
And 100% proof.
Yeah.
If half of it burnt, that was 50 proof.
No. That's categorically not the story. No.
Okay.
And again, it's folklore, and I've never heard that version. That's one I've never heard. It was some variation of, if the gunpowder is soaked in the alcohol, and you take it out and put a match to it and it lights, then it's 100 proof. And again, it is incredibly imprecise because there's a huge amount of variables that could affect that. But in modern parlance, proof is double the alcohol by volume. So standard spirits are 40% alcohol. They'd be called 80 proof.
80 proof.
50% is 100 proof. So once you get to 100 proof, that's when people start calling it overproof. If it's over 100, that's an overproof spirit. But it's got a formal meaning now. But it was a vague general meaning it was simply about tax. Like if you bought high proof alcohol in, and they said the tax is, if it's lower alcohol, it's 10%, and if it's higher alcohol, it's 20%. Because if it's higher alcohol, you could dilute it down and make more of it when you got it to the other side. So they tax high proof alcohol at a higher rate because you could make more money off it. And this was the test, the lighting thing. So yes. As Kirsten said, proof is a freedom unit. It's actually formally used in the US, the proof of spirit. And yes, micro USB. The version micro USB heard during the Prohibition days, people were making deadly homemade liquor, so the government step in, legalize it. You got to show us how much alcohol's in this shit. No, it predates Prohibition by at least 100 years.
Wild West
at least 100
stuff.
years. Yeah. And it's basically with ships taking alcohol between European countries and between Europe and the Americas and from the Caribbean back to Europe and all that. And it was a tax thing. It was purely and simply tax. It's like, we're going to charge you X% tax on your grog. And so they go, whoa, I won't dilute it. It'll be really overproof and I'll make more money. Government worked out they were doing that. And they said, we're going to test the alcohol. And if it's high proof, we're going to charge you more tax. So
and there was
the origin of.
There was a big demand for almost 100% alcohol, as high as you could get it, from Europe, places like Portugal, Spain, Italy, and they used to ship that shit all around the world for perfumes and for fortification of alcohol.
Yeah.
As long as it was ethanol, and it had to be ethanol for perfume and drinking because it would kill you otherwise. And then and America bought a lot of pure alcohol. Pure alcohol is actually quite dangerous to transport in a ship.
It's an explosive.
It's an explosive.
It evaporates at room temperature and leaves a cloud of combustible gas.
Right. So
do you remember when we drank that Polish rectified spirit, the 95%, and your mouth is warm enough to make it evaporate? We took it, and we both did. We held it on our tongue, and you're going, I can feel it vaporizing. It's like boiling on my tongue.
I can feel it boiling.
It's volatilizing in my mouth. So high proof alcohol is classified as an explosive, and a lot of international carriers won't ship it.
Right. So what you'd get was Mary Celeste style ships, because that's what they were carrying. They were carrying high proof alcohol. And you'd get, they put it in smaller freighters because they didn't want to put it in big freighters because you'd lose the fucking lot with a mistake. So they'd ship it in 10 smaller ships. And there was a lot of alcohol being shipped to the United States to overproof their alcohol, because once you get a rye whiskey and you've got a decentish flavor, no one's gonna fucking know if you stick 20% pure alcohol in it. No one's gonna know that. And temper it down. No one cares. So alcohols also at the time was used a lot for medicine. It was used a lot for industrial cleaning, and it was used a lot for food grade heating. So what happened was, at that time you still had the British pretty much in control, and they would tax the fuck out of everything that moved. And so the Americans started to make their own pure alcohol. And this was a problem because the European markets were losing something like 25% of their market if the Americans were going to make this pure alcohol. And so they lobbied the British to stop that shit immediately. And so the British, I love this story, and I can't prove that it's true.
But go with it anyway.
But I'm going with it anyway because it sounds fucking awesome. The British stopped the import of coking logs. Coking logs are oak logs which have been burnt in a oxygen-free environment, so that they produce a lot of heat, but very evenly, like extremely evenly, so that you can put 2 shovels full of coking log in, knowing how much temperature is coming out. And to make really pure alcohol, you've got to get already distilled alcohol and put it back through the system, back through the system, back through the system, and keep the temperature right on. And it's a very tricky process. And then they banned the import of coking logs and would stop incoming ships and see if they were trying to import coking logs. And they would open up coking log furnaces in America to let the oxygen in and burn it down. And that's how they stopped the production of alcohol, which I think is fucking fascinating. And it's the kind of shit they did all the time. I mean, they stopped metalwork, shovels, they didn't want them to make guns, so they stopped.
High-grade steel.
High-grade steel. They stopped trowels. They didn't want them to be able to make their own masonry, so they stopped trowels. It was illegal.
And then America just became a pirate state and just said, we're not going to obey any of those tax laws anymore. We're just going to do whatever we want. And this is where we ended up. Actually, just out of left field, something popped into my head. Another American alcohol term that I only discovered the meaning of recently. They have an apple brandy they call Applejack. And but that's jacking is a term. And what that was in the cold northern parts of the US, where they grow apples in like summer, and they make apple cider. What they would do is they would put a barrel of apple cider out in the snow in the sub-zero thing, and it would start to freeze overnight. But of course, alcohol freezes last. The water content of the apple cider is freezing first, and it's freezing in, and the bit in the middle is getting more and more concentrated alcohol. And then they would drill a hole and drain out the concentrated alcohol, and that was called jacking your apple cider, and it just became known as Applejack. Now that is an illegal production method now, because it's very imprecise and you might poison someone doing it.
Yeah.
But now it's distilled apple brandy in the US is called Applejack. But I found the term jacking, and you can do that. Another fun non-alcoholic version of it. So someone said, "Oh, if you want to have really interesting fruit flavors in drinks, you slow freeze fruit juice, and water will freeze first, and the bit in the middle is going to have a more concentrated fruit flavor. And same thing, you drill a hole in the ice and drain out, and it's this really concentrated fruit flavor. It's a non-diabolical version of jacking. But yeah, if you do that with theoretically, you could do it with beer too, I suppose, to have some scary as fuck moonshine come out the other end.
We used to do it with vodka and fruit juice. Like, you couldn't use like cordial. You had to use actual pulped strawberries and bananas and actual fruit. So you had to blend that up, and then you had to put the vodka in, and then you had to literally put half a cup of water in, and then freeze it. And then Mum would come home and say, "Where's the blender? Where's the blender? Where's the blender? I don't know, Mum. Don't know. And then she'd open the freezer and go, "You're making vodka hit," we called it. Vodka hit again. Vodka Slurpees. Vodka hit, vodka Slurpees. And we'd say, "Well, yes, we are." And she said, "Well, it looks frozen enough to me." And then she'd crack the ice and pour it out into a Tupperware tub. It was like, "Thanks for your concern, Ma." And said, "You to ask if you want to use my blender." So we bought our own.
Which is the responsible thing to do.
And then she used ours, and we fucking got right up. You to ask if to use our blender. For God's sake, it's Christmas. I've got to put on 5 cakes and do 3 dips. Don't be a pain in the ass now. And then she'd go to the drawer and get out teaspoons, and we'd all run away. Fuck, she was a beast with a teaspoon. Fuck, she'd get you right in the forehead and go ding.
Ooh.
Because she'd sit there at the dinner table, and if you pissed her off, she'd like get her teaspoon and like fucking fang it at your head. And the funniest thing was, my brother's head made a ring and it go ding. And me and my other brother thought this was the funniest thing in the world. So we got in trouble, and he'd go ding, and every now and again she'd just fucking fang one at him, and he'd go, "What did I do?"
Oh my God.
Go, "Nothing. It just sounds good."
You're a precautionary tale at that point.
I am really. But yes, water freezes before alcohol, and bizarrely enough, fruit juice will actually flavor the alcohol.
Definitely.
I would have thought it would have frozen out, but it doesn't. I guess.
Yeah, these are things I only discovered recently. Yeah.
Yeah, but one time we got busted putting an actual drill into the blender glass, and Mum was shitty at us because we thought if we put 3 drill holes in, it'd like pour out. Like, remember how you used to get like a can, and you'd get those puncture can openers, and you'd puncture one side and puncture the other side, and then
old time. Yes.
Yeah. You just pour out the whole juice, and you don't see them anymore. Did I say that? Well, the whippersnappers. So that was our idea. was like, when you pop a blender, you don't hit it once, you hit it twice, and then it'll actually glurg out.
Yeah.
A blister, I mean. A blister.
Sorry. Two things I want to say, like, Abigail, Raid is offering some help, and I am also more than happy to help. Needs help paying electricity bill. And also, Micro USB has a question. You should ask the question. And in fact, we could possibly, you could kick off, Micro USB could kick off, Ask AIDSy Anything. This is a game
up for Ask AIDSy Anything tonight. Yeah. I am going to fortify myself with my tablets.
Yeah.
This is my
so you do that, and
I'll
explain. For anyone unfamiliar, Ask AIDSy Anything is what it says on the box. Ask AIDSy Anything. But I'm going to put a timer on. He has a 2-minute limit. He has to give...
That's important. That's important.
Because he will otherwise talk for an hour on the topic, which is incredibly useful from time to time. But
if you're doing a doctorate,
so if it challenges him to put all the info in really tight by giving the 2-minute limit. So I've got you look like you're taking a picture of the screen.
No, I'm trying to get my clock up.
And I'll do it. I'll do it. Or do you want to see the time yourself? Actually, I can see why that would be useful.
What I'm doing.
Yes, no, I can see why that would be useful. Yes, I was about to say I'd do that, but I can see why that would be useful for you.
Definitely time me. Definitely stop me. But but I just want to have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
I want that one. Start.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good.
All right. So I'm going to settle back with a cocktail I just made that's called a Made Man, rye whiskey based. For kids playing at home.
He's a made man.
I know, that's why I made it. I love that. It's
he clutched in both hands, and now he's one of us. It's
45 mils of rye whiskey, 15 mils, well, they say yellow chartreuse. I used Okar Gold. 15 mils of cherry brandy and 5 mils of Fernet, which is a very strongly flavored liqueur. Anywho, and I'll have a little sippy sip and give a taste test. It's good. Okay, so the first question for Ask AIDSy Anything from Mike USB, one of our North American friends. What the fuck is fairy bread?
Fairy bread is white sliced bread, buttered with either margarine or butter, and it is sprinkled with very small balls called hundreds and thousands. I'm not sure what they're called in America, but they're balls, and they're hundreds and thousands, and then they're cut into triangles and then arranged in an overlapping pattern around a plate and given to children and or adults. 30 seconds. Thanks for coming.
Nice. And and it addendum, it did make a kind of social media breakthrough in the US about 3 years ago. And of course, then people proceeded to bollocks it up and try and make eventually like, no, it's white bread sliced with just butter or marge and hundreds of thousands. Don't get fancy bread. Don't get fancy toppings.
Don't get clever.
No.
Don't get clever.
Don't get clever. So, and micro USB mils in an ounce. 30 mils is 1 ounce. So when I say 45 mils, that's 1.5 fluid ounces. 15 mils is half a fluid ounce. 5 mils is like a bar spoon. So yeah, that's 1.5 ounces of rye, half an ounce of yellow chartreuse, half an ounce cherry liqueur, and just like a bar spoon of this Fernet. So, but yes, if you ever see those things for cocktail recipes, and 30 mils is a fluid ounce. Oh yeah, Tassie just saying don't use honey on fairy bread. Yeah, these Americans managed to completely
don't do that.
That's Micro USB thinks it could be a breakfast like cinnamon toast. Fairy bread is an anytime food, but it's
It is an
mainly
anytime food.
a preteen kids party food.
Yes, a preteen kids party food. The reason it's a preteen kids party food is that it's hard to spill. See, the hundreds and thousands stick to the butter, and so when the kids are holding it vertically, the hundreds and thousands are sticking to the butter, and then they I know this. I had a very young brother.
Yeah, I think micro
and I
USB
caught my mother
is
pushing the
no. When you're the parent, when no one's looking, you actually push the hundreds and thousands, which is grossly unhygienic, but you absolutely do it. You push the hundreds and thousands into the butter.
What are you doing? She said, "We've got little kids around. Watch." And then they would all
they run around holding
vertically. It was like,
no, that's the thing. Micro USB is glad we didn't hassle him for the freedom units. No, we respect freedom units here.
One of the best memes I've ever seen is there's like a picture of the lunar excursion module, and it says some countries use the metric system and some countries put a man on the moon, and then beyond that is the further saying yes, and that country used the metric system the entire program to do it.
Yes, because it's too difficult to not use the metric system, basically. Calculating in imperial measurements is very difficult. And speaking of...
You've got to make choices within half a second. Do it in base 10. Freedom!
Chris is our main freedom unit, man. I love... Abigail said used to have meat pie sandwiches, chip sandwiches, mashed potato and plain crisps. I love that. In the UK, they call them a chip butty, and that's the deep fried chips in a sandwich. I like a chip butty. I like a crisp butty. I'll put anything between two slices of bread and have a bite. I mean, that's what we're saying.
No, Australia's national dish is toast.
That's fair. Do you remember the old Blackadder joke where they're trying to go like Blackadder saying to Baldrick, just get me something easy to eat? Like Cedric, Earl of Sandwich, had the other night. He put some meat between two slices of bread. Yes. Make me a Cedric. It's just... We've got round 2 of Ask AIDSy Anything, and I like this one.
Ready to go.
Coming from Tassie. What is the one thing you thought was one way as a child, but as an adult, you learn that's not the way it is, and it pisses you off that it's not the way you used to think it was?
The orbital flight of electrons around a nucleus. Added to it, the electrons should not be allowed to hang near the positively charged protons. That upsets me to this day. Because I didn't figure out at the time when I was playing with magnets, and B, because the electrons are in fact clouds of probability and waves when you're not looking.
Yes. Yep, I can see that. For me, it was grated cheese because, and I've told this story before, when my mum made me a cheese sandwich, it would always be sliced cheese. And then we'd have these sports days at schools where you were off somewhere and you had to order a lunch to be in, and I'd always order a cheese sandwich, and it would always be grated. So I assumed because I ordered it one day, if I took a sandwich from home, it was sliced. But if I ordered a sandwich, Tassie shredded cheese, yeah. So if I ordered a sandwich and got it the next day, it was all shredded. And so the obvious conclusion is if you make a sandwich and leave it for a day, the cheese spontaneously shreds. I was pissed off when I found out that wasn't true, because what a great way to make sandwiches. Just leave them. If you want sliced cheese, eat it straight away. If you want this fun shredded cheese, leave it for a day. And I was pissed off when that wasn't true.
Yeah. You know what I was pissed off with shredded cheese? was the fact that I found out that they shredded cheese in school and in catering scenario because essentially there's less cheese when you shred it. There's less cheese.
Okay, and micro USB threw one in. This one blew my mind. Pole dancers, I always thought they were spinning on the pole. I found out relatively recently the pole spins. I mean, again, pole dancing is mind-blowing athleticism. It's like,
no question.
And also, you
no
know,
question.
sexy as well. I'm not going to pretend it's not sexy.
No
but
one's pretending.
The athleticism of pole dancing is absolutely amazing. My friend who's been in videos a few times, Viola, actually does pole dancing. She's been doing very serious training in it for about 2 years, and she's getting real good at it. But it's a fun combination of athleticism and sexy. And actually, another. I don't know if this was intended as an Ask Aidsy question, but because your vaping was noticed, the question was thrown up. Explain your vaping setup.
Okay, so what I have is a Geek Tools battery operated vape, which goes from 10 watts to 200 watts. 200 watts is ridiculous. You will burn out a coil in 3 vapes. The coils I have run to 60 and they run from 20. I burn mine at between 30 and 35. The juice, which is the nicotine juice flavored. This is mostly water, glycerin, and flavor with a tiny little bit of nicotine in it. Except in my case, it's quite a bit. And then you put it in here. There's an electric coil behind some cotton wool. It heats up and vaporizes the mixture. And then you suck in the vaporized mixture. That transfers the nicotine. And basically 2% of the nicotine that goes in comes out, and it mixes with the atmosphere so that it is 1 part in a billion after 30 centimeters. That's why I took it up, was so that other people around me would not be affected by my habits, because I was training young guys at the time and I smoked and they didn't. And I thought it's not fair for them to get secondary smoke. It's okay for me to kill myself, but it's not okay for me to kill them with cancer. So I went to this on and off, and then I went to this full time when boss of the house said, "You got to stop smoking or I'll kill you." And when he gets that mood, when he gets that look on his face, and Angry will agree.
He's wee,
sure.
but he's feisty. You don't want to. I just noticed also Johnny Knoxkill saying actually built his own, made his own coils for a vape. Had one that went up to 250 watts, which he agrees is a bit crazy.
That's too much, Johnny.
You
can vape 3 of those a day, and then you stop.
Lime Crush saying, just call me Bill, pre-built coils. There you go. And I mean, it's not, vaping's not completely safe, but one of the big things that gets you with cigarette smoke is the heat of it is literally burning your airways, and really quite harsh particulate matter is shredding your airway, and you're inhaling the burnt stuff. Whereas with vaping, you're inhaling the vapor, and it's orders of magnitude less harsh on your throat and lungs.
It is not harmless. It is not harmless.
No, absolutely not harmless.
Times less dangerous than smoking. Now, you'd say, oh, well, that makes it harmless. No, it doesn't. No. It will eventually kill you, but smoking will kill you fucking fast.
Yeah.
It is now proved beyond measure, and I won't be long with this, that smoking, if you smoke for long enough, because, you hear about, oh, he was 90-year-old and he never got cancer. Well, if he was 95, he would.
And if you cut him open, it was probably all there. It just hadn't metastasized.
Yeah.
It's just a question of time.
Smoke. That's just it.
Yeah.
That's just the rule.
It's gonna kill you. Yeah.
You also will get emphysema. I have emphysema.
A lot of and emphysema is permanent as well. Like a lot of smokers with the wheezing and coughing, and if you stop smoking, everything improves almost straight away. Your sense of smell, your sense of taste, you breathe easier, but you've permanently damaged your ability to breathe.
That's right. My emphysema is at 2%, but what happens is it goes up exponentially as you get older. So if I'd have kept on smoking till I was like 55, I would have got to the point where they would have said, you've got to give up smoking, you're going to be on oxygen. Every smoker gets emphysema. That's just because you're actually damaging, you're burning your alveoli.
Yeah, it's too hot. It's too hot, and it's literally burning you. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I noticed micro USB saying if you inhale anything apart from clean air, it's unsafe. You are correct, and that's why people who live in cities have far more respiratory problems than people who live in the country. Just the pollution is bad for us. And as I'm sure you remember, whenever we have really bad bushfires, when the smoke comes in and you go to blow your nose and it's like, oh, the tissue's black. That's not right. That's not right.
That's not good.
That
coughing up black shit like a smoker.
That can't be good.
For like a week.
Yeah.
When you're living in the city, also remember that you're breathing in petrochemicals all the time.
Ooh, yes.
Petrochemicals are designed to, with oxygen, burn in any cell in your body at a random place. Just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah. It's the lottery. You breathe in at the wrong time, you breathe in the thing that's going to kill you. But that used to be the case, and I was never sure if this was completely true. But I don't know if you got forced to read I Can Jump Puddles in high school.
Yes, I got forced to read I Can Jump Puddles. We got it read to us.
Yeah, but it's a classic of mid-20th century Australian fiction for young readers. As this guy who contracted polio was crippled by polio in the mid-20th century, and it's a fictionalization of his own experience. And he repeated the story that he was told because the polio bugs floating around in the air and you were fucked because you breathed in at the wrong time. And I don't know how true this is, but what he was told was basically if you breathed out at that moment instead of breathed in, you might have been okay. It's like, it's that random. It's an airborne illness and you breathe in at the wrong time. But the thing is, there's probably not one polio molecule floating around. The air's probably fucking full of it.
And remember too that back in those days, polio was a lot more prevalent than it is now. They've killed off polio, haven't they?
Close to 100% eradicated, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks to our man Jonas Salk.
They have, I know, in dedicated vaults in Russia and in Atlanta, little vials of polio, of smallpox, and of the other one they killed.
Oh, of terrible things. Yeah. They have concentrated viruses.
Because there was a big debate, kill it off, right? Destroy it. And they said, wait a minute,
it might come back.
It will turn up.
Yeah.
And now that we know how to kill off these, we need something to research. So we must preserve these things in order to to do our research, and it worked with AIDS. Oh, I can't remember the details. I'm sorry, I'll stop. Are we still asking AIDS anything? Hell yes, Annette.
Hell yes. I just thought I was going to speak for you because I'm your Lord and Master, and you shall do my bidding. But I was pretty sure you were on board with it. So yes, we're still doing that. Micro used to be saying, "Oh yeah, you're talking about flavored vapes illegal because children, you hate kids being used as an excuse to ban anything." But flavored vapes are without a doubt designed to entice young people who aren't already smoking to get addicted to nicotine. It's blatant. That's what that is.
In the US, especially. In Australia, it's a little different because if you want to go into a vape shop in Australia, you must be 18 or over, and if you're not, they are asking for ID. And if you haven't, if you look dodgy, they'll tell you to fuck off.
Is the nicotine vape still illegal in Australia?
It is,
but you can get it pretty
buy
easily.
nicotine in Australia, but you can get it mailed in, and a lot of places will mix it for you. But the flavor shops, yes, with the machines, right?
Yeah.
If you are less than 18, you're not allowed in.
Yeah.
They're very, very strict about that.
Here's a fun one. Sorry, you have the question from Nettie, and you might want to give access classified restricted answer to this one, but the ball is 100% in your court. How did you become a wizard?
I came from a broken home. I came from a broken Wiccan family where I was abused and told that I was going to have a lot of stuff and a lot of influence over various different aspects of my life and others, only to find that I was being used as a pack mule and ornamental object in a group of women's useful things. I thought this is getting worse, and it was becoming a little bit cult-like. I was finding I was paying money to go to events where the chief bitch was being paid, and I was going, hang on a fucking minute. And my last straw was I found out that I was the one who paid her. And I went, right, I'm getting fucked here. And so I got out of that and thought, well, this is shit. But I'd picked up on bits and pieces of different things from different people. And then I got taken in by somebody who showed me something. I know that's vague. That was very reasonable, and said to me, if it works once, it's luck. If it works once, it's luck. If it works twice, it's magic. And showed me how to make things work twice.
Nice.
And I have not looked back since.
Nice.
There was
do you at all feel like angry bunching it if anyone's up for it? Yeah? All right. Why not treat ourselves? It's Thursday. We always do it on Friday, but I like to do it occasionally other times as well. And as Johnny Knoxkill was keen to come in and chat, but there is the link. Tassie, angry bunching is joining the stream, because if lots of people join this, we can have up to 10 people and the squares get smaller and smaller, and it kind of looks like the opening to the Brady Bunch. So we call it the Angry Bunch. Are you ready for another question? Ask AG anything. From Abigail. And Johnny, I'll bring you into the stream just after AZ answers this one. If you could have a dinner party with 3 historical people, living or dead, who would they be?
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Seti the Second, and can I have two more?
Yes, I say you can.
Okay. Douglas Adams and Terry Pratchett.
Cool. Nice. There's a couple modern ones. Nice. That's a good one. And Johnny, hello.
Hey,
Hello,
Johnny.
you wonderful, wonderful human beings.
That's
How you
us.
doing, man?
That's us.
I'm good. I got my microchip today.
Oh, dose 1 or 2?
Nice.
My first one.
Nice.
Well, your second one actually tells them how much you orgasm as well. So I've been just flogging it to keep
Well,
the numbers up.
as far as I can remember, yes, my I may be orgasming quite frequently, but they're very low key, as it were.
Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that at all. I've had to have a spring installed.
Yeah. You
that's a
reminded
terrible
me of
thing to say, because
When-
that used to be one of the cures for impotence. They used to either install, if you were rich, two silicon balloons into your penis, and then you used to have to press on a pump in your testicles.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Or if you were poorer, they'd stick a spring in your penis and you'd have a permanent hard-on, but you'd be able to bend it in such a way as to bend it down or bend it up. And apparently it was quite uncomfortable, but after a while you got used to it real easy. And
oh my God.
I always keep on thinking of the bit out of how I learned to not worry and love the bomb, and the Peter Sellers thing about them.
When Dr. Strangelove couldn't stop doing the Roman salute. Anyway, we're being joined by Dr. Abigail.
Dr. Abigail.
Hello.
How you going, gorgeous?
Hello.
And Mike.
I'm okay, I guess.
Okay.
So one of the reasons. Sorry. Go, Abigail.
Just today's been a shit day. I woke up with a migraine. I had to order food because I get Coles online delivery, and I realized like a bunch of bills had been taken out of my account, and my electricity bill is due in like 8 days, and I won't have enough, and I'll have like $50 maybe to last me a week and a half. So that's gonna suck.
Ring up your electrics and say,
yeah, I'm going to.
COVID.
Yeah, I'm going to.
You're going to give me a month. And they're going to go, COVID, we're going to give you a month. And then ring up Coles and say, listen, guys, you're going to have to give me a reducing level of owing you over the next 5 weeks. They'll do it.
What? Really?
Okay, so yes, they will. Say, righto, Coles, I owe you $100. I give you $100 per, I'll say fortnight. I'm just saying that.
Yep.
You need to give me $80 this fortnight, $60 this fortnight, 50, 40, 20, and I will be paying you back at a rate of $30 a week. Plus, when I start to get back on board, it'll go up again, and they'll do it. Because what you got to remember, and remember, I've been poor all my life, all my adult life since I wasn't a comic anymore. Any organisation will take some money as opposed to no money.
Okay.
So if you get in trouble with bills, tell them I want to make a deal, and they'll take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good point.
Utilities I'm talking about. If you get in trouble with food, they will fucking bend over backwards to not feed you, because the moment you call current affair and say Coles didn't feed me, they're fucked. There's 100 little lurks and perks. There will be an organisation in your city council that does grants, and we're talking thousands of dollars worth of grants, because you're down on your luck and it's not fair and it's not your fault. Call your city council about two things: this grant people, and secondly about, because you will need to talk to a financial advisor, which they give you for free, and they will unfuck all of your money for nothing, and basically sort you out on the right path. They're great. I was fucked with a bank for $20,000 over a $50 debt that was connected to a credit card. I thought I'd paid it off. No. And they basically grew to $26,000, and I went, I'm screwed. And I went to my my advisor, and she said, nah, we're going to offer them 3, pay 1.5, and we'll be out of that. And I took it out of my super, and she was right. In fact, they took 800. And
Okay.
then walked away. It was like,
and actually, even as someone who's working, because I'm a contractor and I contract through my own company, and I have twice in the last 10 years found myself in a hole with the tax department, and I mean tens of thousands of dollars in the hole with the tax department. And my accountant's going, okay, I'm going to call them. And they said, okay, look, okay, what he's going to do is give you this much. Then next month he'll give you this much, and and you'll get off his back. And the tax department went, okay. Because you go to them and say, okay, you're either getting nothing or you're getting this. So you're going to do that? And they go, and particularly if you go to them and say it, it tends to work.
Sure. So you know I'm like a pretty smart person.
Yes.
But because of, I don't know, because of my like neuro non-typical brain,
yeah,
that intelligence is directed at very specific things, and everything else I'm just like get major brain fog. And like I'm good with numbers, I'm good with maths, you put a dollar sign in it, my brain fogs over and it looks like Greek.
You are not the only one.
And it sucks and I hate it. And
yeah,
like I've struggled with maintaining rental properties. It's like being able to rent apartments, because like I didn't like my brain just couldn't get around it. And yet I have done AI research. You know, it's so strange and
so loaded, right? It's so fucking loaded with society and shame and fucking value, and the value of a person. We value people who are very rich. We value people who are very influential and who can command the Royal House Guards. You know, we value all that stuff. And then as soon as I go into making something that is literally or poetically brilliant, that's wonderful, but no one gives a fuck about it. But as soon as I get 3 months behind in my rent, all of a sudden the fucking world falls over. So what it took me years and years and years and years and years to learn is that people in suits aren't cleverer than us. They're just fine. And there are so many resources out there to help you that we are idiots for not fucking taking them on. The big wake up for me was this $26,000 credit card debt. I thought, that's it, my life is over. And it was simply because I thought I'd paid them off, but I hadn't paid off $50, and they just let the interest grow and grow at 26% for 3 years, and then it was $26,000. And they were going to eat me alive. But what I hadn't known is they'd sold the debt about 10 times. Yeah?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. They do that.
Yeah.
So by the time the debt collector company got hold of me and they were sending people around to my house, and big people too, and they were making it a little bit threatening, I was freaking out, and they basically told me, no, don't freak out, you'll be right.
Yeah.
And
what? Sorry,
to
AZ. I just wanted to say that the selling the debt thing happens here, but it happens far more often in the US. John Oliver famously a couple of years ago had an extended segment about medical debt in the US and how it was bankrupting people. And he actually chased some down and worked out, the debt's been sold on 2-3 times. And the person down the line, they would literally be happy to get 10 cents on the dollar. And he was able to liberate, I forget how many people, but it was on paper, millions of dollars of medical debt. Now, he didn't pay millions. He did pay tens of thousands. He got within his budget for the show. They bought this debt for tens of thousands of dollars, and then just went to all these people who were desperate and had millions and said, "Your debt's forgiven." And he's basically gone, that's how easy it is. The system's that shit that you can liberate people from millions of dollars of debt for thousands of dollars. It's ridiculous.
I mean, good old John Oliver. He spread the word of just so many things of they're just so crap in the US system.
Yeah. And he's
did
very
you
good at
see
communicating.
his comparison of Australian and American gun control?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I watched that one. Yeah.
Fuck, that was hilarious.
Where he actually came out to Australia. Yeah.
And he went
and I think you interviewed John Howard, didn't you?
He talked to John Howard. He talked to Ron Borbidge. He talked to a few people. And the big telling one was he talked to Ron Borbidge and said, "You obviously couldn't have done that because it would have been political suicide." And he said, "No, I did it. But that would have been political suicide." And he says, "Yes, but it was the right thing to do for the country."
Oh, yes. And for those who don't remember him, Ron Borbidge was National Party. And he did lose his seat. John Howard actually consolidated his power afterwards, but because the National Party were on board with it. And John Howard said it's political suicide. And he goes, it turns out it was, but it was the right thing to do. And it's like, well, bugger me. Look at that. And it's just, but you would not get any leading conservative politician in Australia today who would do it.
No, not
they're
now.
all, and the fact that I can look at any aspect of John Howard with fondness is very damning.
He's vomited. Yeah, it's just
a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit. He's the one who entrenched racism as a central feature of Australian politics.
But we look at John Fraser.
Yes. Well,
Malcolm
you and I were old.
Sorry.
Malcolm, we're old enough to remember Fraser as being Hitler, but he's to the left of the Labor Party.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now we're showing our age. And
we are. We really
Dr.
are.
Abigail's debt. Dr. Abigail, there are many places that'll help you with your debt. And basically also the other thing to do straight away is to set up a permanent sort of weekly, monthly, weekly's better, pay in with your utilities, right? You say, I will give you
great minds. Stella's saying exactly the same thing.
Okay. Do that and give them, say, I am prepared to give you $30 a week / fortnight forever. And you just chump it in, right? You just keep on chucking it in. and you'll often get a letter back going, your bill this month is or quarter is in credit. We thank you for that, and we look forward to a long hot summer. Turn your air conditioner on. You know, they're good about it. They you know, one year I had an amazing year with a comedy. I was a jobber. I was a second bracket jobber, and then all of a sudden I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tours in a row, and I brought home. I can say it now because it was millions of years ago. I brought home something like 210 grand, and I'm going, ooh, I might be in trouble here. It came up to tax time, and I had no fucking way of explaining how I went from nothing to this. It was like I'd committed a crime. So I went to the tax department and said, I think I'm in trouble. I've spent most of this and I'm in shit. I went, you're probably not. You've come into us, and they said, sit down and have a cup of coffee and we'll talk about it. And so there's two officials from the tax office were sitting down in the lobby drinking coffee with me going, so what do you do? Oh, I'm a comic. Oh, well, there you go. You're a specialist performer. So you've jumped down that bracket there.
Yeah. Hi, Lee.
Obviously, hey, Smart Lee.
Hello.
You've got
Hello.
Terrible expenses like taxi rides everywhere, and that'd be $150 a day.
Yeah.
And they're going, what? And they're going, oh, your costume would be, you'd have to change your costume every month. That's $1,000.
Yeah. And they also do averaging, which is nice when they brought that in for performers. It's like, okay, I see for 5 years you were declaring $15,000 of income a year. This year, you're 200,000. We're willing to roll the dice and say you're more likely to get 15,000 next year than 200,000 again. If you get 200,000 again next year, we'll have a different conversation. But there was this averaging thing where they'd go like, and so but the big thing is it is easier to get past these things before the bill comes due, to actually go to them and say, a bill's going to happen and I'm going to have problems. What can we do about it? You can still work it out after the fact and just go, well, but it is actually easier ahead of the go. But this is all good. So still paying bills like that for a couple of years.
Eventually said, expect a check for 1,500 when tax time comes. And I went, are you kidding me? And I went, nope, we've worked it all out. And they said, but if you get the same money next year, you'll need an accountant and you'll need to get on top of this, okay? Here are the list of things that you're entitled to this year. Your accountant will know better. Get receipts for everything. If you buy a burger, get a receipt. And I went, thank you. I love you. Can I marry you?
I've always found people from the tax office are very friendly with you if you engage with them and help them help you. And they can be scary, but they also just generally decent people.
Because they get abused. They get abused by lots of people. So if you don't abuse them and go, oh, how can we work together? They'll go, oh, this is one of the nice ones. Let's help.
Yeah. It's kind of like dating men. The bar is so low.
I hope I get a nice one this time.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate quoting him because he turned into such a shithead, but before we knew how bad he was, I was a very big Louis C.K. fan. And he did have things where men just don't understand what it's like for women. The only way men could understand is if they had to date grizzly bears.
Yes.
And they've got scars all over their body because men aren't going to stop dating and trying to have sex. So they've got scars all over their bodies from the previous grizzly bears, but they go out to the bar and they go, I hope I get a nice one tonight. And I was like, that's the only way men can understand. So.
other thing,
I also agree. Like with Louis C.K., that sitcom that he had, what was it just called? Louis.
It was just called Louis, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. The first episode, like I agree. Also, like it sucks that it came out that it was a piece of crap. But that first episode where he's like, you went out on a date with this chick and he says something a bit weird or whatever, it doesn't go quite to plan, and then all of a sudden this helicopter just comes out of nowhere, picks her up and just goes and just takes her out of the situation. And it's like, is that actually real? Did that happen? Or didn't it? I'm not sure, but it was so funny.
Yeah. And he was funny. It's just a pity he's a shithead. Yeah.
The last thing I was going to say about the tax office is that they are so used to people trying to fuck them.
Yes.
They're so used to people trying to lie, cheat, and steal that if you turn up and go, "Oh, I'm not trying to lie, cheat, and steal. I'm just fucked," they'll go, "Come to mum."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm in their good books because, like I said, twice in the last 10 years, I've owed them tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm just going, can we work out a payment plan? And they go, sure. And then I met it and they were like, shit, he actually met the payment plan. My God.
You're in, son.
And
I remember back in my 20s, after a series of really bad credit card debt situations, I was like, I needed to borrow some money. Basically, I won't go into detail. And my boss and one of the directors of the company and the general manager both offered to lend me some money and to bail me out, and it was really great. And like I paid off the general manager first because just
sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, he was the most he wanted to get paid back. He made it clear that he was going to be on my butt about it. So I made sure I paid him back, and then I paid back the director who I reported to directly to actually, and he looked shocked, and I'm like, you lent it to me, you bailed me out, it was a huge favor. Why wouldn't I pay it back? And he thought he would never see that money again. It was really telling. He thought he was in shock that I actually paid him back.
Yeah, that's
I'm like, why wouldn't I? I work for him. Of course I'm going to pay him back. I don't want to get fired.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to say, Tassie doesn't like us thinking the bar's low because her man Megaleech is great. Things get wrong. No, Megaleech is a good man. We know that. He's a good man.
Well above the bar.
Yeah. So it's like I love Facebook memories because sometimes stuff comes back and you go, oh yeah, that was funny. And there's one from a few years ago, and it was like a Twitter story in 3 acts. One guy saying like, you always get these people arguing with you online saying, oh, you call everyone a Nazi. What's a real Nazi? And I say, well, the first thing is someone who's not a Nazi is never going to ask you to define what a Nazi is. And then someone responded, oh, that's dumb. That's just lumping a whole bunch of people in together. Blah, blah, blah. And I quote tweeted that with, found the Nazi. So act 3 was that guy blocked me. So it's just
your guys' tax department sounds a lot nicer overall than our IRS. I just feel like if you went to the IRS and you're like, hey, so I screwed up and I didn't pay you money, they'd be like, so you're admitting you didn't pay us money? and then you would probably go to jail for like tax evasion for a few years.
Yeah. Well, Martha Stewart went to jail, didn't
Mm.
she?
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
But she went for, I think, insider trading.
Yeah.
That's right. It wasn't tax. It was
No,
insider trading.
Al Capone went to jail. That's how they got him for tax
Yeah,
evasion.
They got
tax
taxed.
fraud. Yeah.
But no, our tax like state and federal tax organizations are just way friendlier and nicer and lenient if you play if you play fair, if you play nice.
Yes,
If you try and fuck them, they will fuck you. They'll get Cockzilla out, bend you over, and oh yeah.
you in 6 places.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
guys were talking
They
about
will find holes that you did not realize you had.
My father once told me, if you murder someone, 10 years later, you're fine. They're going to stop looking for you. If you fuck the office, they will come after you for the rest of your breathing days.
You will find that you are mysteriously audited every year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
they will
Marco,
find where you are. They will send the police, and they will talk to you again.
Yeah.
A friend of mine,
yes,
in high school was counterfeiting $100 bills. He was photocopying them and then painting them. He was a genius painter.
Yeah.
And these were paper notes.
Wow.
And they were, and he used a special paper, and he was using them to buy drugs. Anyway, he came home one day from school to find 2 men in suits sitting in his kitchen. There was no one else there drinking tea. And they said, "Hello, Anthony. How are you? We're from the tax office. We've come to ask you, or tell you really, to stop counterfeiting notes." You've counterfeited, and they told him exactly how many notes. They told him exactly who he paid them to. They told him exactly how many he had left. And you're a minor, so we want to give you a shot at life. Don't do it again. We can find you wherever you are. We will find you wherever you are. We will come and talk to you again. You don't want to see this again. There you go, big fella, and left. And he said he had never shit himself in his life until that moment.
Sorry, I just want to get, I think. Oh no, he's on mute. I thought Mike USB was going to say something. Did you have something, Mike USB?
Oh, I was just gonna say, because we were talking about IRS, and John, on one of John Oliver's show, he actually mentioned that somebody got so fed up with the IRS, they screwed him over in some ways that he took like a small plane and like rode it into one of the IRS buildings. Like I think it was a local IRS building or something.
That was in,
I forget, but
in Florida, I think that was. I do remember that. If we're thinking about the same one, it was not that far after 9/11, and it was just like a Cessna, and I think he thought he was going to do some terrible damage, and he did. I think he killed one person in the building, but it's remarkable how tough high-rise buildings are, and he crashed this Cessna into it, which pulverized it and killed him. And it did go through a window into the building, and I think it killed one person in the building. We may be thinking about different ones, but I think it was that one. But anyway. Safa, I love your mum gave you money to buy a TV and you paid it back. I was a similar thing. I borrowed money off my mum when I was at uni, and I ended up paying her back. And she did actually say, of all your siblings who I've given money to over the years, and it was supposedly a loan, you're the only one who paid it back. And I was like, can I have it back then? Can I have it back? No. You gave it to me. It's mine now. And I was like, oh, okay.
Let's just say I've borrowed money off my mum many a time, and I've only really paid her back once. And that's when good old Robo-Debt got me.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Oh, fucking Robo-Debt.
And let's just say that ticked off a a bucket list for me because I've always wanted to be involved in a class action suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
they're
it was
doing
even
that. Sorry, Johnny, go.
and it was even better because it was against the government.
But they're doing that shit again with JobKeeper payments. It's like they're not going over Jerry Harvey, who siphoned off literally millions of dollars, but they're going after individuals who maybe got a couple of $1,000 and saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have got that. You have to pay it back." Fuck, I hate them.
It's crazy, like, you know, all these companies, these big companies who made so much profit during, you know, the lockdown, like Harvey Norman, that are claiming all this you know, money for, you know, from the government when they really shouldn't be because they're getting record profits.
Yeah. And as I say, Jerry Harvey siphoned off millions of dollars and they're not touching him. God, I just noticed Kirsten saying her mum charged her interest on a car loan.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
Oh dear.
Oh, and when you had an accident where the car was written off and she made you pay out the loan. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Mum's a hard ass.
Oh dear.
Okay, mental note, never cross Kirsten's mum. Okay.
I'm glad mum didn't charge me interest on crashing her car, even though it was replaced with insurance.
Okay. I actually sorry, go Johnny. I thought you'd finished something.
Well it was okay, so back then I bought my own car, but it was a crappy old Mercedes. My first car, 1973 Mercedes. Absolutely. But then every now and then I would borrow her car to drive it. It was a 2000 Subaru Liberty.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep and went through a red light. And a taxi T-boned me. Luckily, it was on the passenger side.
Yeah,
and it was a total write-off.
Yeah, T-bone.
And I got home and I've just gone, Mum, I crashed the car. It's like, oh, that's all right. I had, it's all right. How is it? It's like, it's a total write-off.
It's not good.
And luckily I bought the Mercedes and we actually had a car to drive around until Mum got the new car.
Oh, God damn.
But yeah, that Mercedes was, especially in summer because, they're built for Europe. European conditions. In summer, there was no air conditioning. I'll get in within 5 minutes. It's like I just was in a pool of just sweat.
Yeah, I can imagine. I feel safe admitting this. I actually pulled an insurance scam way back when I was at uni with a friend who was actually from Bathurst, and he's like, "Oh, my mum is a bitch and has all this insurance," and he was like living in the garage, had been converted into a flat, and he's just going, "So if we steal some stuff, my mum will just claim it on insurance." And it was like, like a TV and a VCR back in the day, whatnot, and because we only wanted a couple $100. We were just doing this thing. And he told me afterwards and is like, how'd it go? And he's going, oh, okay. So I came home with my mum and like my window had been forced open, which we'd forced open the window and taken the stuff. And I took my mum, someone's broken in and stolen stuff. And he said his mum walked in and looked around, window forced open, TV and VCR and stereo gone. And she goes, well, if I'm blowing my insurance premiums, let's just lose that guitar and amplifier and this as well. So we felt so much less guilty afterwards.
She fucking joined in.
His mum was as much a crim as we were. And the funniest thing was next time I went around her, his mum goes, show me the bottom of your shoes. And I'm going, why? And she goes, show me the bottom of your shoes. And I'm going, okay, what? And she went, oh, it wasn't you. And I go, what wasn't me? And she goes, oh, like he's flat got broken into, and there were all these footprints outside the window, and they don't match your shoe. And I think I did a good job of not reacting, because I went, I did not even think of that, and I was clearly just wearing different shoes this day. Because there was this soft ground outside his window where we'd left a shit ton of footprints. And I was just like,
I can't say who, and I can't say why, I can't say where, but a friend of mine who was in, let's say, law enforcement said, "Yeah, AZ, I need you to do something. It's not kosher, and I need you to do it because I need to investigate it." And he said, I'll talk you through it. And so we went round the side of the house and smashed the window in, to which I gained entry. And he said, now I need you to do this. I need you to rip out drawers. I need you to look at anything shiny, throw it on the floor. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And he said, I will be shitting on the hallway floor. You don't have to worry about that. And so we ransacked the house. And he said, now, holiday. And we fucked off for 2 weeks. And for a week later, we got a phone call going, oh, you better come home. Your house has been ransacked. Oh, no. So he came home, and after having safely stashed all the stuff we'd pinched in another state, we'd got this payout. It was not insignificant. And he fucking gave me a third of it. And I was just going, how am I going to hide all this money? And he said, man, fuck, it's cash. No one cares. Investigation's over. And I'm going, yabba. And I lived home like fucking months. We had to clean up. And he cleaned up his own shit, which was fair enough. And I said, why did you shit in the hallway? He said, details, AZ. Details. I will never forget that look on his face, the pained look on his face when he said, details, AZ. Details.
Also, the other thing about when I crashed Mum's car, I don't actually remember this, because I actually think I got a concussion of smacking my head on the window, but either the car spun around or just got pushed into a pole that was on the side of the road, and still to this day you can go and see there's still a crack in the sidewalk that the car created from hitting the pole.
Oh, dude, I'm glad you're okay. That sounds pretty goddamn dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like, I'm pretty sure I got a concussion because I remember kind of waking up just before the car hit me, the taxi hitting me, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I was in a crash as someone was like knocking on the window going, are you all right? Are you all right?
Yeah.
And like pretty much since then I was like kind of like awake and fine. Yeah. But I heard later on, because I worked at a servo at the time, and then another taxi driver used to use my servo quite a lot, and he heard about it. And he said to me, yeah, that taxi driver, he gave me updates. That taxi driver, he's been, he's not getting work.
Can we not talk about car accidents, please?
Okay, sorry.
I just saw a text triggers her.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about, as we've got like the last 10 minutes. Was there anything silly and frivolous to talk about?
Yes. One of the things I wanted to do, okay, AZ, I imagine you're one of the people who maybe you don't mind a bit of the old politically incorrect comedy.
I don't. I don't, but I do draw the line at racism, and I won't. I won't. I won't countenance gender or sexuality.
Okay. Well, I found an interesting anime where
you'll like this. Yeah.
So basically this anime called I was Ghost Stories. It was a kind of like children's anime that was made in Japan,
Yeah,
and
I've seen
it
it.
completely flopped. It was bad, and then they thought, okay, maybe we can port it to the US, and it might be more successful. And it turns out, yeah, the people who did the voice, the English dub, they had a field day with the English dub.
Yeah.
Like, they were told you cannot
All right, I've
change
got to go.
See you
Oh,
later.
sorry.
See you, see you, mate.
See ya.
See
See you
ya.
guys.
Have a good one.
You too, buddy.
So I'm just looking up this anime while you talk, but keep going, Johnny.
Yeah, they said you can't change the character names, and you can't change like the overall kind of like story of each episode. But apart from that, they had an absolute field day. Most of it was actually ad-libbed in the studio, and I watched a recent like kind of review thing about it, and oh man, it is pure gold. Oh, and I may have done the cheeky download, and yeah, I think it might be up your alley.
I have had a look at it. It's a lot of fun. There's two anime that I think you should have a look at that are a lot of fun. One of it is called Assassination Classroom.
Yes, that's on my list. Been on my list for a while.
A lot of fun. And the other one that you should really well, actually, there's one that's actually very clever called Id Invaded that you should have a look at.
It's invaded.
ID colon
invaded.
Very clever thriller. Very clever. And,
oh yes, I love it. I love a thriller.
There's another one called Is This a Zombie? And its second series is This a Zombie of the Dead, and it's fucking funny.
Right.
It's very fucking funny. The main character is a zombie magical garment girl who has to save the world through the power of stolen magic and immortality.
Yeah.
What was that terrible Sailor Moon knockoff that someone gave you on disc when you were sick? And the magical transformation. It was so obviously an orgasm. The magic
soft porn. It was
It was ridiculous. Like, he watched it. Someone gave it to him because he was home sick. And he watched it and they said, you have to come over and watch this. And he goes, wait for it. And the magical girl transformation happens. And it was so obviously sexual. And I said, this is fucked.
Because two or three people would fuse together to make the either the machine or the object or the power.
Yeah.
And they were all obviously coming. And it was like, really?
Really? No, it was really obvious. It was really obvious.
What was it called?
Aquarian.
Aquarian.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's a sequel.
I'm gonna look this up. And there's a sequel.
You should.
Yeah.
Might be hard to get in Australia now, but it's very funny. What was another good one that was based? Oh, Black Butler is basically a gateway to Yowie.
Yes, I've heard that's really good.
It's really good, but it's basically primer to yaoi. And the other one that is dodgy as all hell. Oh, I can't even remember the name of it, so that's pointless. So I'll stop.
No. Okay, I just want to go to the dodgiest ever because, of course, you go beyond yaoi to like hentai, the actual hardcore porn animation. The funniest one I ever heard, I saw a bit of. There are these demon hunter ones. So you get actual sort of broadcast on TV demon hunter anime. The hentai just involves, multi-dicked demons and tentacles and whatnot. And there's one thing that the female demon hunter agent, she's trying to get things, and just like the demons have the upper hand, so like they have their way with her. But then the head demon, all these pustules start erupting out his body. And go, oh no, her vagina was poisoned, and he explodes. And one of his subservient demons, because all the demons that got involved, one of the subservient demons go, "Wow, I'm glad I only went up the butt."
Jeez.
That movie is called Ninja Scrolls.
It wasn't Ninja. Okay, the two. And because there was a safe for release version of Ninja Scroll and Legend of the Overfiend, and there was also a not safe for release version of both of those in the Western world.
Both of those.
It's really weird, like with the Ninja Scroll so-called cut version. Okay, yeah, so a bit of the more extreme sexual versions was cut out, like the sexual stuff was cut out.
Yeah.
But then there was this other little bit of a scene that was cut out where some of the ninjas, they threw a whole heap of ninja stars into a tree, and it cut down a tree, and that was cut out for some reason. But there was no violence, like it didn't hit anyone.
It gets weird.
I don't know if it was done for like runtime or what, but it was really weird. Why that was cut out. Like I could see maybe the other stuff was cut out, but that specific bit, why?
Yeah. I was surprised what they left. One bit they left in Legend of the Overfiend, the vagina dentata scene where the spider demon lady between the legs sort of turn in these big toothy thing, and I believe the Japanese version was more graphic than what was released outside. But the bit that was released here, I was a little bit surprised by.
Oh, is that sorry, is that the English version, Demon City?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
There were two Legend of the Overfiend movies released here, and I've think you're right. One of them
and Legend of the Overfiend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only seen Demon City.
Demon City. Yeah. The demon anime stuff tends to get very strange.
The Japanese are deeply into their vagina dentata, which is a Catholic idea.
Yeah.
The Catholic invention. I read an interview with a guy who invented tentacle rape.
We made a video about this because he didn't like the more recent ones where the characters in them have the physical appearance of being very young, and he thought that was fucked up.
He thought that was fucked up. And the other thing was he was a bit annoyed that they'd forgotten that the point of the tentacle rape was in fact the fantasy it was the shameful fantasy of the girl involved, because in the initial tentacle rape scenes what you'd see is a girl in a changing room. She's getting changed, normal, after basketball, whatever, and then the tentacle rape scene happens, and then she sort of snaps out of it and she's getting changed again and finishes, and it's like, what the fuck happened there? And it's to do with Shinto, as is, by the way, the the apparent youthfulizing of the bodies of the people involved.
Yeah,
It's
there's
supposed
a
to-
bit of debate about that, certainly. Yes.
But yeah, it's been abused. But the idea is that you're supposed to be losing parts of your upper brain thinking, so that you're supposed to be becoming more innocent. And the way to graphically express that is to make the body more youthful. But it's done so much now that it's too far.
Yeah.
And this guy was saying it's way too far, and it's way too it's way too much to be reasonable, because you're getting pictures of people who are too young to be sexualized.
And let's not go too far, because I don't want my YouTube channel cancelled. Okay.
No,
No.
And Nettie's being triggered as well. Like we've had car accidents and hentai.
It's
like
bedtime. But yeah, the tentacle thing.
Sorry, somehow I brought both of them up. Oh dear.
That's okay. The tentacle thing was also part of the weird Japanese censorship laws that they couldn't show.
I thought that's
human genitalia. So
I thought that's where the whole tentacle thing came from.
No,
let's not talk about tentacle stuff anymore, please.
No, but yes. I did like that the guy.
Sorry, Eddie.
The guy who invented it said, "Hey, that stuff you're doing now is probably a bit much." And ADNO made a video a few years ago, like, seriously, if the guy who invented tentacle porn says what you're doing is a bit much, maybe you should think. Maybe you should pause and think about what you're doing, because you might have stepped over the mark. And Kirsten is designing a waste and recycling station. That is very peak adult behavior, actually.
Yeah. What do you
waste and recycling?
Bottles?
Is that there? I would imagine that's working. I've got to recycle because here's the thing. I'm going to
sounds like a computer game.
But
wait.
Sorry.
Before you go anywhere, I got something I want to show you that I've 3D printed.
Oh, good.
So you go on and talk about what.
I'm going to go. I made a freezer daiquiri earlier. I emptied these bottles of sort of variants of white rum I had, and it's in the freezer at the moment, chilling. So tomorrow night, I'm actually going to pour myself a freezer daiquiri and see what it tastes like. But recycling, I've now got some bottles to recycle.
Yeah, I've got a worm farm that I've had going for ages.
Yeah,
good old worm farm.
This is fresh off the printer. This is a keychain.
With the
is that the COVID QR code?
I invite. If you scan it, don't tell anyone. But I invite anyone to scan this QR code.
Where's my? Hang on. I'm doing
promise.
Will it get rid of my Will it get rid of the microchip I just had implanted into me?
No.
Oh.
I promise it's not something malicious. I'm trying to get it in focus.
That's funny. That's fucking funny.
Okay,
yeah. So if anyone would like to scan that QR code, do it. It's not malicious, I promise.
No, it's not. It's not malicious. It's worth it. It's great.
I'll have to look it up after the stream.
Yeah, you'll be able to come. Micro USB. It'll be on my YouTube channel.
So
it's
not
that is a wicked good.
It's not working for me right now, but I shall do it later. Hang on. Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to get it in focus. That's it. That's in focus. There.
Yeah. That's in
camera.
focus.
Come on, camera.
It works.
You can do it. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not going. I'll try it later.
Absolutely the one I thought.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if
I'm
it
glad-
never works for you, if it never works for you, Johnny, you can message me and I'll tell you what it is. But
Okay.
that is worth it.
I'm
That
glad
is
there
worth
are people who have scanned it and have
Yeah.
laughed in the
No.
chat.
It's fantastic. Yeah, everyone's doing it. It's fucking awesome.
And I 3D printed it as a keychain.
But- yeah, no, absolutely. That's brilliant. And what I love is, you should pose for photos with it, and randomly, people who look at it, I don't know, it's great. It's great. And it's 10 o'clock. So I'm going to go to bed.
Alrighty.
Because I'm theoretically meant to work tomorrow, but, I'm working from home, and no one knows what I do when I'm here. I just got to be aware if anyone
Night,
emails or
everyone.
instant messages me. So
Are you
take care, everyone.
are you up for after party, 80?
I go to the doctor, and today I sat down to put on my left shoe, and I sat down at 10 o'clock and woke up at 5:30. So I really should go to bed.
Okay,
Alright.
fair enough. Yeah.
Right. So I'll be on tomorrow night.
night,
for anyone
everyone.
who's free tomorrow night. For,
Nighty night.
All right.
Friday night
Goodbye,
party.
everyone.
Take care, one and all. See you all later.